Another interesting thing that is really only in Lithuania
Yeah.
is the Hill of Crosses. So you can just put the Hill of Crosses, and it's a place with more than 200,000 crosses on one hill. It's just insane.
Milda, hello. Welcome to yet another episode. I am so happy to welcome you. How are you doing today?
Hi, Pavel. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited again. Oh my God, it's already the second episode. And I guess it's going to be the 10th for you, right? So congratulations. You've been doing really well with these episodes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Well, it's gonna. I wanted you to be the 10th episode, but there are some changes. You might go even. I don't know when it's gonna be, but ideally you're number 10. I just want to say thank you so
Wow.
much once again, not just for joining us for this episode and telling us about Lithuania, but also joining in the first place because you are the very first guest that told us about a country. We talk about Luxembourg, and from there were a lot of people that joined after that. Some of you are your friends, and to be fair, we set the bar quite high from the very first episode. And then I don't know if you listened to the episode with Michael from New Zealand where we talk about New Zealand, and we were discussing before that. He was like, I don't know, man, uh, these episodes are really good. I'm not sure if I am up to standard. I said, don't worry, let's just talk about New Zealand. We will figure it out. I'm sure you're a curious person. We'll do it, and it turned out to be a good episode. And
Exactly.
eventually, he's happy with the outcome, which I'm happy for that. And what I want to say is something really, really curious. We recorded, you recorded the Luxembourg episode in Lithuania, and now when we're going to talk about Lithuania, you're in Luxembourg.
Yeah, just happens, Europe, you just hop on, hop off, and yeah. And when you're a tour guide, you can talk from whatever you are about the place. And as I'm from Lithuania, I hope it's gonna be easy. It's like sometimes about your own country, you know less than when you move to a new place. But try me.
Indeed, most of the times, unfortunately, that's the case, and I'm guilty of that as well. I don't know much of Bulgaria as much as I know in London, but if I have this mentality before when I was in Bulgaria, I would definitely learn more things. Now, every time I go back to Bulgaria, I don't see just my friends and family, but I spare some time to explore, go to the nature, or visit monasteries, or learn something new. So it's yeah,
Great.
definitely. Hopefully, maybe this episode challenge you as well to dig a bit more about your home country and learn something new?
Yeah. And also not only each other, but also the ones that are listening, also learn about your own country or whatever you're living now.
Yes, indeed. Okay, we're gonna talk about Lithuania. What is the difference size-wise about Lithuania and Luxembourg? It's not much of a difference, is it? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, so Luxembourg, it's really, like the dwarf country, like super small. But, I always thought that Lithuania is small. And then when I moved here, I was like, okay, it can be smaller. So Luxembourg is like 57 and 82 kilometers. And Lithuania, it's like 350 and then around 250, something like that. So it's, more than 200 and more than 300 kilometers to cross. So, for example, if you want to go to the beach, that we have beautiful beach and dunes and of the Baltic Sea. So, from the capital Vilnius, where I come from, you need to take a bus or a car, and it will be more than 3 hours. So, even though it is a small country, it's not that tiny. So, there's plenty to explore.
I know usually these countries that they seem small and not much to see, they usually have a lot of treasures hidden there, and that's what we're hoping to learn about in this episode about Lithuania. Okay, usually what I ask is about the airport at the beginning. So how do we get in this country? I would assume you should go to Vilnius, and then wherever you're staying, just drive from there. Is that the case?
Yeah, yes and no, because in Lithuania we have three international airports. So you can come to the capital Vilnius or to the middle of the country that is Kaunas, and you have quite a lot of connections, with Ryanair. And you can even fly to Palanga, that is the coastal town. So if you just want to go and explore the seaside and really go for just vacation, you can also do that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes.
But then as we talk about Vilnius, so for example, yeah, from the airport, you just can take a taxi. It shouldn't be more than 10 euros to go to the city center. And it's really quite close. Or if you're on a budget, you can just hop on a 3G bus that stops right in front of the airport. It costs €1 only. And you can go all the way to the city center too. So taxi or the bus works perfectly. Actually, also there's a train, but I never use the train because because it takes only 7 minutes. So Lithuanians are quite proud that only with 7 minutes you can reach the city center of Vilnius from the
So why
airport.
you never took the train?
Because someone is always picking me up. I mean, normally my
Ah,
mom or dad picks me up. Yes.
I see. I
Or
see.
there's also a very convenient car sharing app called CityB. So you just need to download the app, put your driving license, and then you can just pay per minute and per kilometer. So if
Mhm.
you want to explore the car, on your own, it's very, very convenient. But you can also just rent a car or use public transportation because, unless you want to go really for the nature, then you would need a car. But for the city
Okay.
exploration, public transport and walking is just perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see on the map there is a lot of green happening in Lithuania. So either woods, maybe even small mountains, probably.
No, so
No
Lithuania
mountains?
is very flat. No, it's very flat, but we are very famous for a lot of forest and lakes. So, for example, actually, you can see some blues too. So we have a lot
Mhm.
of national parks and hikes. And so for example, if you just drive from Vilnius a bit north, you have Aukštaitija National Park, and it's gorgeous. So if you like swimming during the summer, that's really perfect spot to go. But then for this, you would definitely need a car.
Okay, as we're looking at the map now, can you
Mhm.
tell us which areas are highlighted by you? Like, what would you recommend? Which areas are highlighted?
Okay, so if you are, just for the short trip, the definitely highlights is of course capital Vilnius, and then from Vilnius, I highly, highly recommend to take a day trip to Trakai. So it's just a bit
To where?
south.
Sorry,
Trakai. So it's this
Okay.
exactly, you can see. Yeah, so this is the place where we have a beautiful medieval castle, and also it's surrounded by 5 lakes. Exactly, you can see the image, and it's on the island. So you
Wow.
can see what I'm talking about. And yeah, if you have a drone, you can have, pictures like that. And for example, if you come during the winter, don't be scared of the cold weather because you can go there and do an ice skating because the lakes around freezes and it's safe to walk around or do ice skating. I did that once. It's gorgeous. And oh yeah, here you see the picture of people swimming in the lake during the winter. That's a bit extreme, but during the summer you can definitely do that because the water gets warm in lakes all around. Yes, so this one you can see it's a bit crazy, but yes, Lithuanians also do that. So this is definitely a highlight what to do. And
Okay.
then also Kaunas is the second biggest city, so it's kind of more middle of Lithuania. And there you also have a nice old town, and then you can see this big water next to it. So this is actually like a artificial lake because made for the hydroelectric um, power plant. And then also next to that, you have a beautiful monastery, and then also some hikes. So it's quite nice too. So this is, when if you have only a couple of days, I would say that
Mhm.
these 3 cities would be the highlight. And then if you want to, explore for a whole week, then of course, Klaipeda region, and you can put on Google Nida, and the Nida dunes are beautiful and like gorgeous. It's like you see the stripe, so Klaipeda, and then
Yeah,
this
this one here,
strip.
right?
Exactly. So all this area, it's just gorgeous. It's called
Wow.
yeah, yeah. hmm yeah, so
So,
this
so
is
what
one of
about, yeah, all these areas gorgeous and
exactly because this one side is the sea and the other side is this artificial water. So you have these beautiful, gorgeous dunes that you can walk around, and it's very, very peaceful. And it's also part of the UNESCO World Heritage, and you can also find a lot of pine trees. So for a lot of Lithuanians go there for their vacation, during the summer, and they don't even need to fly anywhere else because all you ever need for a peaceful, quiet vacation to really plug off, this is what you have in there.
Okay, so this is all these dunes are artificially put there.
No, these are all natural, and that's why it's in UNESCO. It's really
Ooh, and you can see there is a part of that that goes to the neighboring country, which is
Russia. So actually, this is a very interesting story because,
whoa. Tell us.
yeah. So this, you see, the Kaliningrad area, a very small piece of land that is belonging to Russia. So in ancient times, this used to be Prussia. So Prussians is also kind of like from the similar tribes as Lithuanians, but then unfortunately they were all killed long before like the actual history started, and then it was kind of even called like a little Lithuania. And then a lot of for a long time Germans were living there, but then because of the the wars and the Soviet times, Russia managed to take that. But why we are so sad? Because 90% of all the amber is located in exactly this peninsula, and like this this area in Kaliningrad. So even though like amber is a really symbol of Lithuania, and to be honest, of all the Baltic countries. And you can even find that also in Finland and Sweden, even though you can't really find much of amber in those countries. Because what's fun that you can just walk alongside on the coast of Lithuania, and after the storm, you can find the amber that is kind of like a petrified resin from the old pines that used to grow in this area 200 million years ago. And they were huge, and they would have a lot of resin that went to the water and then stayed there for these millions of years. And that's how the amber was formed. So yeah, I hope everyone knows what's amber, but yeah, exactly. This is where you can find it. And yeah, unfortunately now Russia has most of it. And of course, if you go down more to Gdansk area, to Poland, they can also dig some.
I see. Very, very interesting. Wow. So how would the how is this happening? Well, this is truly amazing. I mean, if you see these dunes, and everybody who's listening, I mean, you can just Google it. It's called Nida in Lithuania. It's like you are in the desert, because I always advertise Bulgaria like it's really amazing. Bulgaria, really. You can go skiing, you can go hiking. We have mountains, we have forests, we have beach, and then if you're Lithuanian, you can say like we have a lot of forests, we have beach, we have a desert. And I'm like, what? Because I don't know how big that is. I mean, it's just one piece of land, but i- some pictures, the way you can frame your photo, it literally looks like you're in the desert.
Exactly.
Look at this.
It's
Come on.
it's gorgeous. If you are there, for more than a couple of days, I highly recommend visiting this. Another interesting thing that is really only in Lithuania
Yeah.
is the Hill of Crosses. So you can just put the Hill of Crosses,
Mhm.
and it's a place with more than 200,000 crosses on one hill. It's
Wow.
just insane. And another thing we have is also a Hill of Witches. So some people say that, okay, is it
I
like
would.
a bit creepy?
Is it what 200 witches at one all at the same place?
No, that one is it's a bit less, but it's just a park with a lot of wooden statues. But this story with these crosses, it's also quite interesting because there's a legend that then some some magic thing happened in there. Oh yeah, and this is the Hill of Witches, so
Mhm.
many statues of devils and witches, and this is also in this Kuranian spit, so close to Nida. It's in Juatkrente, so just the neighboring town. So if you go, for the dunes, don't miss this place too. So it's yeah, quite interesting. Yeah, so Nida and then Juatkrente. It's a bit further.
Okay, so the witches and the crosses are all in the seas in this area.
No, so the witches is in the Kuranian spit. That's how you call this strip of the land. And then
Okay.
Hill of Crosses is close to Cholet. So if you go just a bit higher, so it's yeah, now it's on the right corner. Yeah, so it's a bit in the north, Cholet. Can you see? Yep,
This one?
right
No?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a couple of kilometers from
I
Cholet. It's the
see.
Hill of Crosses. So what a lot of people are doing, they are, taking a tour or just driving by car towards Riga. And this is the path you would go through Cholet towards Riga, because you can see the road leads
Mhm.
all the way
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so with this Hill of Crosses, it's quite interesting because during the Soviet times, the government really wanted to take away all the religion.
Mhm.
And they destroyed the Hill of Crosses, but then overnight people would bring it back, and then the next morning the Soviets would take it away, and then the other night people of Lithuanians would bring it back, and then after some time Soviets were like, okay, whatever, let's leave it. So at some point they, for example, even destroyed the roads leading to the Hill of Crosses, so for Lithuanians would be hard to drive next to it, but then they would park somewhere further and walk a kilometer or two just to reach it. So it really became a symbol of, hey, if we want, we can be united and stay strong against the Soviet Union. And then ever since, it's kind of people are bringing more and more crosses, because if you visit, you can buy a little cross for €1 or €2, and they give you a pen and you can write a date, your name, wishes, and it really becomes like a place for prayers and really good energy. Because imagine if 200,000 or like more even thousand of people come to one spot with their thoughts and wishes and prayers, and then they leave those good feelings. Of course, it's gonna be quite a high energetic place. So it's I would say something unique.
It is indeed something unique. In a way, it reminds me of these fences that they have so many padlocks.
Oh
They
yes,
say you go,
yes,
you lock your love there. This is, in a way, it reminds me of the same thing. I know it's completely different, but the whole picture and the whole of it, yeah. Okay,
exactly.
great, perfect. Okay, so we're here on the west side. So you say if you have more than 2 or 3 days, you can come to the beach side. Enjoy ideally nice weather and beaches. Um,
Exactly.
Anything else here before we go into more details of the places that you said?
I mean, of course, they are, for example, like a beautiful Japanese garden made close
Ah.
to Palanga. And then in Kretinga, you can find like a winter garden and then some manor houses. But yeah, this is, if you really want to go deeper. Because, for example, last summer I went to the seaside for a whole week, and every day I was driving around going to, explore some different places. So if you want, you can really go more. But I would say majority of the people, what they do, they go to the capital of Vilnius, because there's also plenty of things to see and do.
Mhm. Okay, before we go to Vilnius, because that's where I want to go actually and hear more about it. What about the beach? Is it like nice temperature, nice beaches? Like, what's the situation there?
Yeah, so the best part of it is the white sand and the dunes that even during the spring, when it's not that hot, you can really stay in the dunes and be protected from the wind, and it really feels hot. But then talking about the water temperature, it normally doesn't exceed like 22 degrees, I would say, in the hot days. And it also really depends on the stream, because sometimes, it's like 23 degrees, and then next morning you come and the wind changed and it's already 18, and you're like, oh, it's a bit chilly. Yeah, but like Lithuanians are always like, we are always swimming, and you can kind of call yourself a challenge that you have to swim at least once when you are in the Lithuanian seaside. But yes, comparing to the Bulgarian one, yeah.
Yeah, I can say a bit chill. Yeah, and of course you're swimming all the time. I mean, I would assume you're used to the temperature, so
Exactly.
yeah, why not? Okay, let's go to Vilnius then. What it is to see in Vilnius?
So, of course, the old town that sometimes it's even called Italy, because we have
Wow.
so many Baroque churches. So, the idea is that you have this nice, cozy, tiny street, and then church after every corner. You can really forget that you are in Lithuania and feel like you are in Italy. But then, of course, the main thing and attraction probably is the cathedral square, and then the Gediminas Tower. So when you're scrolling, I can see already, yeah, like the
I'm just gonna
first
write it here.
picture is already, yeah. So the second picture is cathedral. The first picture is the Gediminas Tower. So they are really right next to each other.
Uh-huh.
So this is exactly where the city started. And the legend goes that because Trake was actually our capital too. So our Grand Duke Gediminas, he was hunting in these areas where Vilnius is, and he fell asleep and had a dream about the iron wolf that was howling like hundreds of wolves. And then he was really touched by this dream, and he went back to his pagan priest to ask, "Oh my God, what does this mean?" And he said that this means you have to build a city that all the world will hear about. So clearly, you are hearing about the city of Vilnius, and it is the capital of Lithuania. So here you can see the cathedral and then the Gediminas Tower just behind. And then on the right side, you can see 3 hill of crosses. So this is also quite a nice viewpoint. And these 3 hills of crosses, they are symbolizing the 3 monks that they came to Lithuania to Christianize us. But then one of the dukes actually killed them because we were pagans at that time. And then, when we became Christians, we felt really bad about this accident. So then these 3 white crosses were put on the hill to remind us that, hey, sorry, we didn't mean that. Yeah, but now no one really thinks about the story behind. Everyone just likes because you have a beautiful view of the old town.
Mm-hmm. So is this tower leaning?
No, it's just the picture of the wide angle. That's what it feels like. But an interesting story about this particular tower is that the reason why it's not together with the cathedral, because normally, you have belfry part of the building. Right here, you can clearly see that it's not together because it was part of the wall that went around the city. So you can see that the lower part of it really looks like a tower. And then the upper 3 floors were built later on in the 19th century, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was turned into a belfry. So nowadays you can also go up there and have a gorgeous view. Again, if you're on a budget and you don't want to pay for going in there, you can just walk on Gediminas Tower hill, and you don't have to pay anything for that unless you want to go inside the tower and then, be even higher and see the view.
How much is the entry for the tower?
Last summer it was €5. So maybe if it changes, because every year it can.
Yeah,
so you can, but you can find the information or in the entrance or online.
Okay, yeah, but it looks nice. Okay, well done. Next, something. Look what pops up here. Is that's inside in in the
cathedral.
building? Yeah. Okay. What else we can see then, except the old town, or something else inside the old town?
So maybe while we are still in the old town, there's the complex of university. So the Vilnius University is definitely oldest in the countries from 1579, and the building that we have now, there's still university and still faculties, and sometimes it feels quite old. So if you're studying history or philology, this is exactly where you would study. And then the building complex is right next to our presidential palace. So and it's like 5 minutes from the cathedral square. So it's definitely something not to miss. And then also you can go on the tower of like this in the university church, because there's one church that belongs to university, so the only one. And actually I studied in Vilnius University, and in that church we got the diplomas. So it was something like, oh my God, this is a super special place. That's what the church is used to for the concerts and to get diploma. Yeah.
You get your ceremony basically in the church.
Exactly. And it's, really historic church and, the first oldest university, because, now we have many faculties and they're all around the city, of course. So it doesn't fit everything in the city center, but at least, the final ceremony, you are in there.
Wow. Wow. Okay, let me just ask you, is that the church you're talking about?
Exactly. And you can go on top of the belfry. So you see the church and then just on the right. Exactly. And then, it was quite cheap to go there. It's like couple of euros, and then the view is amazing because you're on top of this red roof. So here you can see actually a picture even better, exactly this one. So you see the hill of crosses, and then 3 crosses, sorry, and then the Gediminas Tower, and then the cathedral and university, and then the rest of the old town. And you now you understand what I'm talking about, being the the little Italy with these tiny streets and many churches. But then talking about something different than the old town, it's right next to it, but it's called Uzupis. So this is more of the hipster area, and Uzupis literal translation is behind the river. But what's interesting that they even have like they call themselves Uzupis Republic. So it's actually with yes, exactly.
Yes.
So you can see like there's the before the bridge, there's even a sign that you are entering. So what does the sign mean is that in Uzupis you have to smile. So if you're a grumpy person, you better don't go there. And also you
Wow.
shouldn't drive too fast. Because the streets are very narrow. And then the Mona Lisa, it's all because it's all about the art, because the artist created this area because during the Soviet times, it wasn't like the nicest area to be. It wasn't really safe. So they decided, like, yeah, so the artist could afford to actually, like stay there and do the art. So you can really see the colorful things. The picture you're showing now, unfortunately, you can't see it anymore because it's been painted over. And a lot of people during the tours would come and show me exactly this. And unfortunately, it's not there anymore. But they have pictures of this building and this gallery. So it's like an art incubator where you like every day you come and you might find something different. So, for example, the picture that you're just standing on, there's a Jesus backpacker, for example. So it's quite crazy things you can find. And the idea is that it's behind the river, so you are really kind of surrounded by the water and nature. And you can also find a lot of still abandoned buildings, but now I would say it's very, very much changing. And like a lot of these artists can't even afford living there because if, for example, in 90s it was very cheap and not safe place, now it's one of the most prestigious places and everyone wants to live there because, first of all, it's super close to the old town and the city center. Also, it's next to the river, and all in all, it's just beautiful and cozy and a lot of cultural events going on. And actually, my favorite coffee place is in there. It's called Coffee One. It's right next to the Angel of Uzupis. So they're like private owners. So it's not Coffee One. So it's not a chain, and it's always they have homemade stuff, and they never charge for the vegan milk. That's why because seriously, like sometimes they charge 30, 50, or like I know in some places in Luxembourg they even charge €1 for a vegan milk, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I
Well,
can
so
buy a
they will
whole
not
liter.
charge you for the regular milk, but for the vegan milk, they will charge you £1, €1.
Yeah, in some places, but then in here they never do that because like they say that, hey, it's just the milk. If you want to have your coconut milk, here you go.
I see.
So and they always have like the homemade ice cream and cakes and desserts and little cute things. So whenever I'm in Uzupis, I always try to support the local business
Mhm.
that is really from there.
Yeah, support the local. Love it. Support the local business always. I see snow. I see the snow in that picture as well.
Yeah.
Which it's no surprise that you have snow. Would you say it's pleasant to visit in the winter, and is it worth it to visit in the winter for something specific, or ideally come springtime and summer?
Um, it really depends, what you want. I would say that for the city trip, the winter is not that bad. I mean, what I would say is maybe the worst is like November when it's just slush and mostly rain and dark. Because if you have sun and snow, then the city looks gorgeous, and then. Like the pedestrian ways are clean, so it's like safe and nice to travel. And then in the city, you have a lot of restaurants and coffee places, museums, and plenty of things to do inside. So you can just jump from one place to the other, and you don't have to be like in the nature forever and just be freezing. So and of course the Christmas markets is quite a big thing in Lithuania too. So if talking about the winter, I would suggest. Like for the Christmas markets, December, don't expect too much snow because the past winters, it didn't really snow much for the Christmas period. But then if you want to see snow, because some people, travel to Europe just to see snow, then I would say February would be the best time. And if you want to go to Trakai for ice skating, then definitely February is the time, because then it really gets cold and the ice get thick, so it's safe. Because yeah, December it's not yet there.
I see. I see. Okay, that was good. Good tips for the people that like snow. Brr, I prefer beaches, but anyway. Um, okay, we just made a small detour with the seasons. Let's continue. Something else in the capital that we can see.
um, Now I'm like, okay, one other interesting thing is the TV tower. So it's more for the people maybe that they're interested in the Soviet history, because it's a bit further from the city center. And even though you get really high, most of the things that you can see is the, old Soviet gray blocks. And yes, that's exactly the place. But you can also go up and there is a restaurant, so you sit and then, the thing spins. So in 1 hour, you actually have, the 360 view, and you don't have to, walk around or anything. So it's quite nice an experience. And also it has a history behind it, because in 1991, Lithuania in 1990, we declared independence from Soviet Union, but obviously they didn't want to let us go. So then 13th of January, it was very, very cold. They brought a lot of tanks back to Vilnius, and the goal was to occupy the TV tower, the parliament buildings, and then the radio station, another building. Right. So then people really surrounded these important places and stayed all night, being peaceful, singing national songs with the bonfires. And then exactly at the TV tower, at some point, tanks start driving into this, harmless crowd. And a couple of people died during that this incident, and it's remembered until today, the 13th of January. It's always been celebrated. So if you go to the TV tower, don't get surprised to see some views with the tanks and people in there. So now you would know what this story is about. So it's quite interesting, and also just to see how the Soviet architecture looks like. So because when you're in the city center, you can really feel like in Italy. Then you get out of the city center and you kind of remember where you are.
I see. It's a really nice place. I mean, to see. Is this thing going up and down?
No. So you have to take elevator.
Okay. No, no, no. Because the way it look in this picture is
Yeah, it
like
could.
it can go up to here, or it's
No.
not. Okay.
It's stable.
It's
Exactly.
it's interesting to see that they didn't just leave it as a TV tower, but it's basically an observation platform and a restaurant.
And a TV tower. I mean, it
We have
still serves. Yeah.
and what?
And still a TV tower. I mean, it still sends the
It's
signal,
still
because it's
yeah. It's fascinating. We have in London something called BT Tower, which is in the
Mm-hmm.
center, and it used to be a restaurant as well. But they were in the back in the days, I think 70s or 80s, the Irish Republican Army, which is which were making some causing some problems here in England, and they were bombing basically England, and that's why when they closed it, and ever since you cannot, I think you cannot go there anymore. But it's something similar. It's a tower. Okay. Um, we have a list now of things to see, like 2 3 days, wherever you are. I mean, how many days you have in Lithuania, you have a list to see. I'm curious to ask you about some extra curiosities if you have about the country, if you because you shared a lot already, but I'm not sure if you have something else. But before that, I'm curious to find out, how are Lithuanian people, what is the culture like? Do you have any traditions? Is there something I need to watch out when I go there, like any gestures, or don't say this or don't do that? Like, how are the people?
Okay, so in general, we are quite friendly. I would say that we are quite traumatized by the Soviet times. So, for example, I would say that especially older generation tend to really, keep the things. So it's hard, we have a hard time to throwing away things, because in the somewhere in the back of your head is like, but what if the war comes again and you have nothing? Because during the Soviet times, it was so hard to, to buy anything. There was like, to get bananas or oranges, you would need to wait hours in line, or even like for toilet paper and stuff like that. So, for example, in like my parents' place, we have so many old things, and I'm like, Mom, why do we have like 200 of these, glasses or something? It's like, oh, because when the shops, finally had it in the 90s, we were so happy there is, so we just bought whatever because it was there. And I'm like, yeah, okay, and what are we gonna do with that? So I would say that in a lot of Lithuanian, especially like older families, you can really find this mentality. So people sometimes are not even aware of that, but it's somewhere because once you couldn't get it, you kind of store it because what if one day, right? The history repeats. So like, be like, oh, another funny thing. I don't know if it's all a Lithuanian thing, but whenever I fly or travel, I can really spot Lithuanians because we always bring black bread and the sausage. So it's like, oh no, let's not buy the fancy croissant in the airport. Let's have our own food. I don't know if everyone does, but whenever I travel from Lithuania, I always have some sandwiches with me. So it's just like a habit because like yeah, I could buy, but like I already packed some food, and I know a lot of friends that they do the same, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's not only our thing, but it's just like what I remembered. One thing not to do: don't whisper inside the house. We call that you will call the devil. So yeah, that's a big no. Um, like some other funny superstitious. I mean, it's not like what you not to do, but just also from my family. So, for example, if you leave house and you like forgot something, you have to come back. You have to look at the mirror, otherwise you will be not lucky that day. So yeah, like exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. The part of the sandwiches, because in Bulgaria we also do that. You go on the road, you prepare your sandwiches from your
Exactly.
sink. But I didn't know you. We have different sandwiches. I didn't know you're so distinctive with black bread and sausage.
Or maybe it's just me because that's like the festival food, and whatever you have to be long time, like just something that lasts. Always works.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Uh huh. Well done. Well done. Okay. Um. What about the currency and the prices in general? So can I go with euros?
Yes. So very good question, because if we would be recording this like 5 years ago, I would be like, oh yeah, 100 euro for the weekend, you're gonna do just fine. Now, so in general, prices are rising because we got euro in 2015. So, for example, if the beer price used to be like maybe 85, 90 euro cents, now it's going to be 350 euro in a bar. And it's, yeah, we also have a lot of local Lithuanian beer. So whatever bar you go, just ask which craft beer you have. And yeah, you're going to, like, all Lithuanian beers are great. But then, yeah, for the restaurant, 10 euros should be fine. We also have a lunch deal during the weekdays. So, like from 11 to 2, normally you can have a lunch deal, and it should be like definitely less than 10 euro. And you can get like a soup and a main thing, and maybe sometimes a coffee. It really depends on the place. So, the food is quite cheap. And then yeah, the hotels now, whatever I look for flights home, for example with Wizz Air, they automatically uh brings you to the booking, and I'm like, oh wow, like 50 euro for a night, that's quite good. So like the hotels are also quite cheap, and we have a lot of Airbnbs, and I know a lot of people that whenever they come, especially with the bigger groups, they get amazing apartments. I'm like, wow, I had no idea you can get that. So definitely check out also some Airbnb when you're coming, not only hotels, because you can get some great deals. And yeah, in general, like shopping, the main shops is kind of the same prices, for the so it's like not like, oh, go shopping in Lithuania because it's cheaper than anywhere else. I would, I'd say that about US, not about Lithuania. Yeah, but I guess like what matters is the food and the food prices, right?
Yes,
And the
definitely.
beer prices.
I understand what you're saying about the euro. In Bulgaria, there is still no euro. We are in the eurozone, but we don't have euro. And I remember it was around 2010 when I was working in hotels, and it was, I don't know, we were in the euro back then, in the eurozone. And then I remember I was speaking to the Germans, like, oh yeah, Bulgaria, did you get the euros? Like, is it coming here? And I said, no, like there are no plans that's gonna happen in the near future. And they're like, oh, you see, euro come, you go down, man. Everything, prices go up, salary stay the same. Oh, very bad, very bad. Um, but we still don't have euro. I don't know what's the reason. I know that there are some criteria that you need to meet. I think we're not meeting them yet. I don't know if that's deliberate. I don't know what's the case, but we still don't have euro in Bulgaria. Um, Anything else you would like to add? Oh, actually, now that I remember, what about drink? I would assume you have this national drink that is strong, like schnapps or something. Do you?
Oh yeah, we have how you call them, the moonshine, you
Moonshine?
know, yeah, the thing that it's like, I don't know, 70, 80 degrees, and you know, make it somewhere in the woods. But yeah, this is not really legal. But
You make it so that sounds very dodgy. You make it somewhere in
it,
the woods in the night when
yeah,
nobody can see you.
yeah, exactly. And like, this is what you would find if you would go, you know, like with some locals for the sauna, and then, you know, under the table they'd be like, oh, now you're, you know, become true Lithuanian, you have to drink this. But then, you know, talking about the, you know, what you can buy in the shop, I definitely recommend 3 9s, so just 999. And then they have different different colors. So the green nines, it's really similar to Jägermeister, so it's a herbal drink. And
Mhm.
then they also have the red ones and the just the yellow ones. So it's like a flag. Now I just realized exactly.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but then another thing what we have is the mead. So it's the alcohol drink made of honey. And
Wow.
this one is really nice, and it's quite historical, and it's sweet. So yeah, for the girls, it's really nice.
How
So
do you call it?
mead. So it's MEA. Yeah, EAD.
Oh, EAT.
This thing. Mhm.
Okay, interesting. But okay, but I understand meat. I can try from the shops, but I'm intrigued by this illegal drink that they make in the woods. How can I get my hands on that?
Ooh, it's quite tough. Oh yeah, this
I need
yeah.
to make
So
a. I
Suktinska.
need to
Yeah,
become a
yeah,
friend with a local. I would
exactly. You
assume.
know, to go more. You know, or you know what you can try doing is like go rent. You know, Airbnb somewhere, somewhere in the woods.
And they will have it.
And should, yeah, I mean, it's like, I would say it's the south of Lithuania thing, and yeah, so somewhere in small towns and so on. But yeah, I wouldn't.
So
I
how do
would
you call it?
recommend to stick. Uh, like it's moonshine. I think they
Moonshine.
have it. Yeah, I think they have it in Russian and other things in other places too. If you,
Okay, because in Bulgaria we have rakia, and yes, we make it. We make it homemade. We do it homemade, but they years ago they put a law that you cannot have as big barrel as you can have just certain size, and you cannot brew over a certain amount. After that it
mm.
gets illegal. But you can still buy this rakia drink in the shops. So I'm surprised how this is not in the shops at all.
No, no. So I mean, it's just kind of like vodka but stronger. Let's put it this way.
I see. Okay, now I'm not that interested. It's not so exciting. I'm gonna go with the honey now.
Exact. Trust me, that one is way better.
Okay. What do
Yes,
you
and
drink it
then
with?
what, the honey mead
Yes,
as
just
a
like that.
dessert? Yeah, just,
Ah,
you know,
just
don't
for
go shots. Just
digestions.
exactly
I see.
aperitifs.
Okay. And what about food? What do you eat except black bread and sausages?
I was waiting for this question because, yeah, and differently than Luxembourg, we have a lot and we are very proud of it. So the main thing is definitely zeppeline. So it's the big potato dumplings that actually looks like, you know, the zeppelin, the flying thing in the air.
Ah,
So, and it's, yeah, so it's potatoes, and with the meated side, it's quite heavy. So if you're visiting during the winter, that's going to keep you warm for, for a long time.
okay.
So it's a really nice thing. And all in all, we eat a lot of potatoes. So
Mhm.
potato pancakes and potato dumplings, and then just yeah, like we have yeah, potato, and you can boil and just with whatever. And another thing we have, it's very famous. It's this cold beetroot soup. So some people call it just a pink soup, or I mean, in Lithuanian that's šaltibarščiai. So it's just
How?
the
Shiborście?
šaltibarščiai.
A feltiborście.
Šaltibarščiai. I can write it down.
Okay, write it down for us after that. Shelchibar. Salt. I said it here. Salty birthdays. Salty birthday.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's with S,
Yeah.
I
So
think.
it's yeah. So it just means the cold soup. But yeah. So even though it looks for some people like a medicine, it's crazy tasty and it's
Mm.
amazing for the hot summer days because it is cold, but it's served with a hot potato. So just
Of course.
don't say like,
Potatoes.
oh, exactly, with whatever, with the
Of course.
soup, with the
Yeah.
meal. So if you order shaltibarshi and they bring you, potatoes on the side, don't say like, oh, I didn't order potatoes, because sometimes this happens. It has to come together. So no
That's a
worries.
good tip. So what did you just do? You just dip the potatoes in the soup?
You can just take a sip of the soup and then a bit of the potato. I like putting the smaller pieces of the potatoes inside, so then the
Okay.
soup is not that cold. But yeah, you can try
Yeah.
different ways.
Zaltiborste and cepelina. They look nice.
Yes,
Must try.
yes,
Okay.
definitely. It's you're gonna want to come back to Lithuania only for that.
Now that we're talking about Lithuania, that brings me back in time a bit. I used to work in a marketing company when I was visiting Bulgarian businesses and I was connecting them with the company. I was the representative in a way. And then I also, at some point, I also got some of Lithuanian businesses in London, and they were mainly shops, like food shops. And when I go there, most of the people are Lithuanian that are selling. They don't hire other people. They're Lithuanians. Not all of them were speaking English, so thankfully I speak some Russian, so we're able to communicate. And they were giving me this dessert, which is basically what was it, like cottage cheese in a way, but it's like ice cream, but you're not supposed to eat it frozen. It has some chocolate on the side as well. You don't know it?
Yeah, of course. I was like, what cottage cheese? Oh yeah. So it's actually made of curd, but yeah, we call it like the kids eat a lot, but it's a lot of sugar. So it's called surales. So it's a curd dessert, and it's very Eastern European thing. I would even say like very Lithuanian thing. But then when I was living in Finland, I actually found. But then in Lithuania, you have I know like 50 different tastes and with
Mhm.
whatever berries and whatever. And then in Finland they had one kind, and I'm sure it was brought from Estonia, and I was like, oh, but at least something. Yeah. And
Well,
then they put that, oh, it's made of curd, so you have a lot of protein, and then twice as much sugar. But yeah, wherever I go, oh my god, I eat that a lot. It's perfect with the coffee as a dessert. Yes. Did you like it?
yeah, I enjoyed it. Weirdly, it looked strange at the beginning,
Yeah,
and she gave it.
this
She
thing.
gave it. Yeah, she gave it to me out of. It was just mainly from one shop. I was getting this one. We had a good connection. She was treating me these desserts, and the first time she gave it to me, she gave it to me out of the fridge. She's like, "Try this one." And I started opening. She's like, "No, no, 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 no. Wait a bit. You don't need it frozen. Wait, wait, wait. Wait to get softer. They need it." I was like,
So
"Okay,
maybe they were, bringing frozen, so they last longer
yeah,
because,
yeah,
yeah, that makes
hmm
sense.
yeah."
Ugh,
It
but
has
then
to be
it's
just a bit chilled. And then the other thing that fascinated me, it was this lady again. Her name is Yeva,
mhm.
and I pronounce it correctly? Do you understand?
Yes,
Is that a name? Yeva? Okay.
yes, very well.
Once she was watching TV something about Lithuania, I think. I'm not sure how this conversation came into place, but I found out that your movies are dubbed only by one person. There's only one person who translates all the voices. And I'm like, no way. And she played something on YouTube, and it was so bizarre because women voices, men's voices, it's all one guy. It's all one guy. And I was like,
But you can still hear the original because, for example, in Germany they dub it and you can't hear the original one, so you hear only the German. So in Lithuanian you can hear the original and then the translation on top. So you kind of, I don't know. For me, exactly, you grew up with it, so it just sounds normal. But now when you say it this way, I'm like, yeah, but at least you can hear original, so you know how the voice should sound, and then the translation is just for you to understand.
mhm, I see. Okay, yeah, I
But it
found
is
that. I
funny.
found that. I found that interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add as a finale?
That you should definitely come to Lithuania and talk to Lithuanians in a bar or just on the street and see for yourself how amazing, this country and city of Vilnius is. Because yes, some people still think that, oh my God, we are somewhere in the eastern part of Soviet Union, and
Hmm.
but when people like, because I'm working as a tour guide, in there and all around, whatever. So the main thing that I would hear from people is like, wow, I had no idea this is so modern. And because we have the old town, and then on the other side of the river, you have the modern part with the skyscrapers and banks and offices and so on. So for people, it was like, wow, I had no idea this looks so Western and so European. So yeah, when you go there, expect to be surprised. And go with the open mind
Of
and try
course.
all different food, because there's more things like
And find an
and
Airbnb
go
in the
to
woods.
yes, and go to the supermarket to look for the suralis, like the curd dessert, because I don't think they serve that in any of the restaurants. I've never seen that as, like, hey, I want this for the dessert. So yeah, and in the shop it costs like 30-40 cents. So go for that for sure.
Uh-huh. Okay. Perfecto. Fabulous. Um, People speak Russian there, right?
No.
They don't speak Russian?
No, oh my God, exactly. I was like, are you making, fun of me or something? So the language is very important. Actually, for the finale, I wanted to say how to say thank you in Lithuanian.
Uh-huh.
That is ačiū. So it's like sneezing, ačiū. So ačiū. And
Okay.
the language is very important thing. Thank God you caught me on this one. So Lithuanian is one of the oldest languages in the world. It
Whoa.
comes from the Indo-European language group, and we even have some similarities with the Sanskrit that's all the way in India. And you are like, what is that? And it's one of its top 10 most difficult languages in the world. So yeah, it might sound like Russian, but it has nothing to do with Russian. And we were part of Soviet Union, not really on our own will. So the official language was Russian, but Lithuanian was forbidden to speak only in the 19th century. But this actually pushed Lithuanians to speak even more. What you're not allowed to talk or do, you definitely will want to do, right? But then during the Soviet times, everyone still spoke Lithuanian. It's just that the official papers were in Russian, just for the people in Moscow to understand and control better, obviously. But then ever since, Lithuanian is the official language, and it's the only official language. And the younger generation don't even really speak Russian. I mean, you can choose that to study at school. I did that, but my Russian is like really
Mhm.
not the best. So if you speak English, you're gonna be just fine talking in the restaurants and just on the streets. If you get lost, just stop someone, and they will definitely help you find your directions.
I see. The reason I asked you that is because the Lithuanians I was communicating with, they were all speaking Russians. They were all speaking Russian, and even in Bulgaria, Bulgaria wasn't part of the Soviet Union, but we were under their influence because they, you know,
Hmm.
install people in the government that they can help them. And Russian was taught in school, so that's why I thought
Yeah,
people were you know studying Russian there. But very good point. No,
exactly. So I
don't
mean,
mention Russians.
yeah, yeah, that's a good tip coming from you, not me.
Okay. Did you started saying something before I mentioned the language? So you raise your hand like, "Oh, what about this?" Or it was about the languages?
About the language and about achu, so that's
Achu.
thank you.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
then hi is labas. Labas.
Labas.
Yeah. Oh,
Labas.
about that.
Achu.
Yeah, about that. The Russian, people in London were speaking Russian. So I better not start about this. Maybe some Lithuanians will listen that. So yeah, they are a type of people living in UK.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
let's not talk about this then. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
what I can say except achu.
Perfect. You learned it well.
Yeah, I sneeze a lot, so it helps probably. Okay.
Very well.
Milda, thanks so much for joining us for this call and telling us about Lithuania, a small country that I haven't heard much about.
But you should go and get me as a guide, and we can explore a lot. Or if anyone else wants, just find me Instagram Guide Milda, Facebook Guide Milda. Very easy. My brand, I didn't think too much. Just Guide Milda.
Yeah, it has to be simple. I agree. It's good.
Oh
I
yeah,
like it.
the last thing, you know what
Yes.
my name means in the old for the old pagans? It's actually the goddess of love.
Oh.
And it's a very old ancient Lithuanian name, so you can't find, that many Mildas all around except for Lithuanians and Latvians, because yeah, Lithuania and Latvia, we have a connection, and then with the language and with the language, the history, we were more with Poland.
I see. I see.
But yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that note, Milda. Not many
Yeah.
Mildas. I'm happy to know you then. Probably you're definitely the only Milda I know.
Yes. Exactly. Great.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Milda. Achu once again. I wish you
Thank
a
you, Pavel.
fantastic day and speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone for listening. Bye.